Lumpo Eam, of course, with the near crank in the bottom, but this is not the usual wooden one. It is near loha, so sacred metal, and because of the near crank in the bottom, of course, and the style of the design of the pitta, Lumpo Eam, of course. This, of course, is a rope tie with yan pamtra yan tamuk, yan muk, with the ink stamp of the yan puts on, with lumpusuk of Wat Pat Krong Makam Tau. I'm not sure of the age of this locket, so if within his lifetime or if afterwards with his Luksit and continuing Abat Lumpo Samran, but it looks like probably Lumpusuk's time. Definitely looks old enough. And this is a very rare amulet from JalKhun Sunthorn, from Wat Gandayanamit, the other famous temple where they found the Somdet Gandayanamit of Somdet To. This is from Jalkun Sunthorn from the year, I believe, 2470 BE in Mekasit. Really rare amulet, known mostly by high-end niche collectors and of course the Sian Prat, the Sama common, so not universally known. Looks like Lumpu Bun a little bit, who also make this Praklit Bua but with different yant on the back. You can see here real alchemical mixture, how the waves, how the different metals and alchemical substances are different and don't mix together completely into one substance always. A very beautiful rasami aura to it. Very rare amulet indeed, very rare. And although not one that you walk on the street and everybody points to it and knows it, has a value. This is quite a valuable amulet within the, within the Wonkan, within the societies. And this, very beautiful. Maybe somebody can also tell me why. This is a Rupman, Loi Ong, Lumpu Tim, Wat Lahan, right? In Nga, in hand-carved ivory with inscriptions. Beautiful. With the code 3. This would be hand inscribed, not with the code stamp, which is why it looks slightly different from the code stamp 3. Of course, you can't use a code stamp on ivory, it would break the ivory. I would like to know, because Loi Ong carved statuettes of monks. I find it very strange that people seem to show that they're not really interested too much in revering the monk who made the amulets, because most people go for the takrots and the Khun Paen and the stuff that's going to make them win the lottery or do good business or have good mercy charm for themselves, for magic. But they don't seem to really have much reverence for monks, because monk photos and monk images, of course, I do have customers who collect and who rent them / buy them. I don't like to say the word rent. People think it's polite. It's a Thai custom to say rent, because you can't take it with you when you die, so it's not yours forever. But I look at what's in your heart when you, open quote, rent it, close quote. It's not that. You are buying it for yourself. That's what's in most people's hearts. So I say, buy it, sell it. Stop playing, stop being a prima donna and pretending, you know, pretending you're renting it because you know it's not really yours. You're buying it and you think it's yours. And that's quite in your right, because this is the world. When you die, then it's worth nothing. You can't take it with you. But until you die, unless you sell it, it's yours. The idea of possessions is imaginary anyway. None of us possess anything. We just have things available for our use, which we exchanged or acquired. but nothing is ours. But I don't say rent, I say buy. So people don't buy much monk images, photos, or statuettes, which I find quite sad, because it proves the selfishness of people, that they're actually looking for magic to help themselves, and they don't realize that an image of the monk is going to connect them with his magic and his blessings, and to rever him is going to increase their barami, their merits, yeah, and selflessness, and make the angels smile upon them, and Luang Pu. So why don't people, if anybody could comment, why is it not one of the top preferences? One of the less preferred kinds of amulets are monk images, monk coins, yeah, and Loy Ong statuettes of monks, whereas forehead bones and takrut to protect you against guns, or a lady horse amulet in pry oils to attract sexual attraction, or for lottery winning pragrasip skulls. Very popular. But monk reverence and Buddha image statuettes don't really have much popularity, which I find sad, and always wonder about why. Why don't people like to collect monk statuettes? So anyway, very beautiful hand-carved ivory, one of a kind, hand inscribed and blessed statuette Loy Ong of Luang Pu Tim, with certificate, of course, from the Samakom Luat Bang Khai. And this one has a silver casing with, which can be taken out if you want gold. There you go. But I have to show it with the casing to show it's the one in the certificate. But it can be actually removed and exchanged. And yet here another Loy Ong statuette of Luang Pu Tim, which will now close in on. And use my other hand, because that's got a plaster on it, with hand inscribed. This is in Nirmai. It looks like Maipo, but I'm not sure. It looks like Bodhi tree wood, with the number 3 code and inscriptions on the bottom. Namapata, I think. Very beautiful indeed. Very clear-cut image of Luang Pu. Very, very nicely carved indeed. Beautiful. Oh yeah, with the Yant Ha on the back as well. Let's see if we can zoom in on that a bit more. Now I'm zoomed into the fullest. Let's get some more light on it. No, not it. That's too much. You can see the Yant Ha, Yant Gabong Kwai, the 5 Dhyani Buddha Yantra of Luang Pu Tim, inscribed on the back with the hand. Beautiful. Once again, I don't know why people don't prefer as much the Loy Ong monk images. They prefer magical items for their own blessings, but they don't realize that monk image itself, all the amulets they buy, like the Khun Paen and the Luk Om and the Ma Sep Nang and the Chu Chok, and stuff to bring lottery and happiness, mercy charm, wealth, good business, good health, but they're all made by the monk. So an image of the monk, if I have amulets of a monk, I like to have an image of the monk, because it helps me to connect with. You should always think of the monk when you pray to your amulets, according to Thai tradition, to connect the lineage magic and his blessings as his devotee. So I don't understand. If anybody can comment or tell me why people seem not to prefer monk statuettes and monk coins over amulets like Takrot or Lugom or Somdet or Ma Sep Nang or Inku, made by monks, but they don't want an image of the monk himself. Not all people, but in general, I would say the Loy Ong statuette is one of the lesser often collected and sold, through my shops at least, amulets. Or is it that I just don't have enough choice and there's enough of them for people to find the monk they want? Because I'm wondering, because people don't really seem to want monk images, which I find completely strange. They don't want an image of the monk who made the amulet that's going to bring them blessings. I don't know. Anyway, for me, beautiful hand-carved wooden image of Luang Pu Tim. Even more, much more nicely carved even than the Ivory one, which I just filmed before this, which is also extremely beautiful, but this one is excellently carved with detail, very fine detail. The face, the forehead lines, the eyebrows, the eyes, the cheeks, the ears, the Jivara robe, the Yant inscriptions, the code stamp is so clear. And I think it's Bodhi tree wood, probably from a Bodhi tree in the temple, but I don't know. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. With certificate from the Samakom Luat Ban Khai in Ban Khai Rayong, which is as close as you can get to the temple of Luang Pu Tim, and where the real information about Luang Pu Tim can be found from the old locals and those who live and grew up around the temple. The best Samakom and the only one that I trust for amulets of Luang Pu Tim, to tell the truth. Anyway, beautiful amulet, huh? Beautiful. And this is a Takut Tong Dang. I see Takut Tone. I wouldn't say Tong Dang, I have to look. The certificate says copper, sacred copper, Takut Tong Dang, Luang Pu Tim, Wat La Han Rai. Takut Tong Dang. Yeah. So this is, here we can see. Let's take each dog out just a moment. So you have here, you can see, has the code 3 stamps on. Let's close in a bit. Code 3 stamps. This is actually Tong Luang, brass one, not Tong Dang. And 2 smaller Takut here attached, which are probably Salika, I would imagine, but I don't know. Luang Pu knows. And this Takut here in the middle with the code Po, I call it code Pat for Patana Anugun, who was the artist who made the code stamp. But people call it the code 3 because it looks like a 3. But if you put it this way, it's actually the letter P in Khmer Sanskrit. Anyway, that's my theory, that the person who made the code stamp was called Patana, and so he did a Khmer Sanskrit letter P. So there you go, that is a, just zoom out, that is a certificated Takut of Luang Pu Tim with Chuak, which will be blessed also, but probably if it came with the Takut from the temple. If not, if the Luksit put it after, then maybe not. But it looks like the Chuak of the temple. For a waist cord, of course, to wear around the waist. Or around your neck if you want. Yeah? So there you go. Takut. Rare, huh? From Luang Pu Tim, certificated by the Samakom Anurak Pha Krung Luang Pu Tim Luat Ban Khai Society, and also guaranteed by me, authentic, which I count as more important because it's my judgment that has to finalize when I take an amulet, not a certificate. But certificates are nice to have. They give confidence in your heart, but in truth, what really gives me confidence is my own knowledge and my own recognition of authenticity. Better, like the Buddha said, don't believe me, find out yourself so you know for yourself, and then you don't have to have faith in somebody else's words. But of course, not all of you can do that, so some of you put faith in this society, that society, or my words, or depending on your group and your following. Or you learn yourself, like I did. And you never stop learning, of course. But anyway, different schools of thought. This is my school of thought. Takut, beautiful. Takut Khat El. Takut Tone Khat El Luang Pu Tim Wat La Han Rai. So now I have another look, staying on Luang Pu Tim for a while now, because that's the basket I have open. This is of course number 1446. You can quote if interested. I forgot to say that on the previous videos. To quote, or just say Somdet Ki Pet Lumbu Team better. I'll know which one you mean. And you can quote the number as well, 1446. This is in Nơ Dam, Lang Yang Gabong Kwai. You can see the white powders. In this case, this appearance, this bang here is just rising up. The finer sacred talcs rising up from inside. But these white dots here are typical of the sacred Dingagyayak earths of Lumbu Tuat from the sacred peat marsh in Yala in South Thailand. Yeah. And when you see this kind of white dots appearing, you can see that in many Lumbu Tuat amulets that are made from Dingagyayak. So this is not just Wan Plai Dam, Pry Earth powders from Wan Plai Dam. Pong Wan Plai Dam is the, if you plant Wan Plai Dam herb, they say if a cat or a dog walks past it, it dies. And the earth itself is magnetic, it turns black. When the plant grows, the earth turns from red or brown to black. And they use the black earth as Wan Plai Dam powder. And it's magnetic. You can stick a magnet to it. Most black amulets of Lumbu Tim. But this one definitely has Dingagyayak inside it, because you can see this white spot formation, which is something within the peat of the peat marsh in Yala of Lumbu Tuat. Anyway, this is the Ki Pet Yai. There is the large goat and small goat versions. This is the large goat version. Yeah. And I believe I have another one, not certificated, but also authentic. So I'll certificate it. I'll give my own guarantee certificate. I've made a template to make my own, which makes me legally responsible, of course. So I only give those out when I'm sure. I don't make myself legally responsible for a fake amulet. So what I want to say is I have, I think, another one. I can't remember if it's the small or the big pet, with a ruby in the back. A real Thai ruby, which are very rare. Dark rubies, because the ruby mine's completely depleted. And that is number 1448, Somdet Ki Pet Nơ Dam from Lumbu Tim. Where now look at this. This is a Khun Paen Pong Prai Guman Pim Yai Wat Rai Wari, yeah, which was the name of Wat Lahan Rai before they changed the name in 2515. Because in 2515 BE, the name of the temple of Lumbu Tim was called Wat Rai Wari and changed in 2515 to become Wat Lahan Rai. And as you can see, the powders, this is in Nơ Pong Wan Ya, herbal and pry powders. You can see it has Lumbu Tim's hairs in it. Wat Rai Wari, yeah. If it is a Wat Rai Wari, yeah, that is pre-2515. It's not a Khun Paen 15, it is a pre-2515, which you can see looks more like a Song Pon Yai, which was a block press that existed before, and the block Hin Meat Gone. Also on the block Mai, the wooden and the razor blade sharpening stone, which is kind of like a very soft, crumbly stone, were used to make block presses in the early days. So this is a pre-2515 in really, you can see very coarse herbal powders. And it's more of the Songpon Yai, yeah? It looks more like the 2517 BE Khun Paen, which is much more like the Songpon Yai. But this is a Wat Rai Wari, yeah? It says here, Prat Khun Paen Pong Prai Guman Pim Yai Wat Rai Wari / Wat Lahan Rai, yeah, which means it could be from the time when the temple was called Wat Rai Wari, or from the time when it was called Wat Lahan Rai. You would know from writing on the back, yeah, but in this case, very hard to read, yeah. So if it says Wat Lahan Rai, it's 2515 or after. If it says Wat Rai Wari, it's 251. It's pre-2515. So I can tell you this, for me this is pre-2515, but I haven't tried to read the bottom. Because I don't need to, I can tell. I can tell. Just look at that Muan San. So difficult to find an early era Khun Paen with Muan San and Geisa, so many Geisa hairs of Lumbutim in there. This is a really beautiful amulet and an early era authentic Khun Paen, Praiguman of Lumbutim, and for me, extremely special. And as you can see here, just focus in, it's a second prize winner. So it doesn't have a trophy, but this is a second prize certificate with second prize sticker on the box, of course. It's just a sticker, but anyway, the important thing is this amulet. Let's have a look here, get some light on it. Just look at that. Yeah, no Wat Lahan Rai on the bottom. It's a Wat Rai Wari. It's even different inscription, some of it. This is fantastic. This is, along with a couple of other old era ones I have, for me, among the most desirable Khun Paen for their sacredness, high concentration of Muan San, sacred powders, the hairs of Lumbutim, and the early era blessing before too many people knew about it. So there aren't so many of these. They were made in small numbers and distributed to devotees. This will have been an edition, but who knows when. 2510 maybe for the first edition. Learn Samanasak coin when he was raised in status. They will have celebrated, so they will have had some Khun Paen. This could be any time between 2510 to 2513 maybe, in my estimation. But it might be, yes, that was about the time when they started to make block press a little bit more refined. Before that, the very early Khun Paen are quite roughly hewn block presses, but very, also for that reason, very original, hand-pressed and sacred looking and feeling. But anyway, we're admiring now a very rare version of an early era Prat Khun Paen, Praiguman of Lumbutim, that the Sian Tapajan and the Sian in Bangkok, the pundits in Bangkok, never got to see. They didn't go to Wat Lahan Rai until he was already famous after 2515, changing of the name of the temple, and then they started wanting to get in on the gravy train, which is why I'm much more interested in the previous editions. I like the 2517 Wat Po Sampan and the Wat Bo Win editions, but the 2517 edition, I like the coins, but not the Khun Paen 2517. That's the only Khun Paen of Lumbutim I do not touch, for a good reason, which I have explained and will explain in other clips, but not now. But I will play with 2517BE edition amulets that are in the list that was signed by Lumbutim for allowing to make, such as the Prat Gring and the coins, but not Khun Paen, because it wasn't in the list of amulets which Lumbutim signed permission to make. Whether they made some or not, or whether they just added some Khun Paen from other editions to the pile, that's just unclear, and I don't believe the Bangkokians, because they weren't around the temple. I lived close to the temple for quite some years, and I never saw any of those Bangkokian guys, and they're not welcome there either. A temple will accept and welcome anybody, but the real feeling is that those Bangkokian speculators and high-end showroom owners and supposed pundits are not very welcome, and what they say, the local people don't even want to talk about it because they don't want to say critical things. They just say, not interested, we know the truth. So what a beautiful amulet. Look at those hairs of Lumbutim. Just look at the wanya, the herbal powders, the concentration. Wow. I'm sorry, it makes me emotional, it really does, and I'm not pretending. I'm not one of those guys. I can, looking through the camera, so I'm seeing the close-up in HD, and wow. And I know anybody else who appreciates real concentrated Prime and San will also be saying, wow. Oh yeah. Look at that. Wow. Get some shine on it. I like to catch the light to shine it, to show how it, the sacred powders are actually, they're so floppy, but then again they're so hard over the edges and fossilized. Look at the edges here. You can see the edges shining in the light. The nuagun, the extra meat around the edges. Oh, so beautiful. So, Khun Paen, Prigoman Pimyai, Wat Raiwari, early era Khun Paen, second prize winner. And the Somdet Key Pet, no prize, but certificated. And anyway, if I show you it, you shouldn't, don't focus on the certificate too much, please. I don't want to keep talking about that. And the Somdet Key Pet in Dam. No, Wan Plai Dam Pasom Din Kaki Ayak. I say in Wan Plai Dam Earths, Pry Earths, and Din Kaki Ayak's powders, according to my school of thought, because I didn't mix the pot of clay, so who knows. But I know about the white spots. That's how I learned. To recognize Din Kaki Ayaks, I traveled from the south to the north carrying a tree branch of sacred wood in my left hand on a motorbike and chopping pieces off at every temple along the way that was of the Khao southern sorcery tradition, meeting the abbots and saying, I'll swap you a bit of these sacred woods or of these pieces of Lek Lai I got from the previous temple if you have some Din Kaki Ayaks powders, because I want some. I don't have any yet. And Abbot goes and looks, oh, I've got some somewhere, let me have a look. He didn't find it in the end, so he gave me a whole alms bowl full of Lumbutuat amulets made of Din Kaki Ayaks. I said I could bash them up and use that. I didn't, I distributed them. There's a lot of people around the world who got some from me and they're not available for sale. And they were found, me and the Abbot, we found them, well, he found them first, beneath the Buddha statue, hidden. And they only distributed them to people who made merit. So I gave a few out. It was a double-sided Lumbutuat with Lumpopiak on the other side. Those who remember me 15, 20 years ago distributing amulets from Lumta Liam of Watsu and Manisap, where I ended up staying as a monk later and also going across the road into the jungle and staying in a cave when the temple became too much for me, too noisy. Anyway, Lumbutin. Somdet Key Pet Lang Yang Ka Bong Khoai Key Pet Yai, yeah. Pat Somdet Pim Key Pet Yai, Nứa Din Kaki Ayak, Pasom Wan Plai Dam. And just one more look because it's so beautiful. It is. Just look at that. Ah, I've got a feeling that one might be the first inquiry in the video I'm making. This is a video I'm going to compile into another one later and allow inquiries. So I'm quite sure that one, I've been keeping it because actually I was thinking of just keeping it myself, but I have about 3 or 4 early eras like this. I'll keep one for myself. So in the moment I really have too much things to carry and need to move house and need to get rid of some of my baggage and I have a big collection. So it's time to stop clinging and let go of some, I'm afraid. Hurts every time I let go of something like these. Because when I got them I lived in Bangkai and I could find them, but I'm in the south now, so who knows, when these are gone, not so easy for me to find the amulets of Lumputim anymore. I'll be finding southern amulets in the moment. Every time I move around Thailand, I study and get to know and collect the local amulets. So, there you go. Great old school, early era Khun Paen, Lumputim, and the Somdet Key Pet Yai. So, another look at unusual. Amulets, lockets, once again monk images, which, as I said, I don't understand why people go more for the actual amulets without a monk image than actual monk images. Anyway, this has a locket. It's a locket of Lumbutim Isarigo Watlahanai with another locket in the back, Pimlek, with Code Salah stamps. And I think that looks like it might be Sipunk here. I'd have to look. Let me close in here. I'm not sure what that is. I'd have to look under the eye loop. It might be Sipunk here, Geo Sao of Lumpotap, or it might be a piece of sacred Chanawan. This is encased in a turtle shape, which is quite nice. Of course, has acquired crap bit of over the ages. So certificated, as I say, don't focus too much on certificates, but certificated by what I consider to be the best Samakom for Lumbutim and closest to the temple and with the most pundits within the society who actually grew up and whose parents and grandparents were in the time of Lumbutim and grew up around the temple of Lumbutim, which is where I lived for quite some years around that area and spent my time with the locals and the local pundits and at the temple and at the amulet section of the temple, talking with the head of the amulet section about the truth of the amulets of Lumbutim. And all of those investigations, of course, is what gives me my confidence and my study and how they taught me how to look at and recognize the amulets of Lumbutim and what the truth is and what isn't. Even about things like the Code Salah stamp, when it was made and by who and so on. And this locket is cilium oblong shape and very interesting. Also has Code Salah and the Code 3 stamp, and this one definitely has a piece of Chanawan bead, sacred bead. It has the Nakbrok by Makam and the Pitta of Lumbutim. So I can say a little about what year this was released, to be honest, because I would have to remind myself, and I don't have the data right. I've got so much information in my head, it's very hard to pull out exact dates for each item here inserted. Yeah, but otherwise very interesting amulet because it has this very rare Pitta of Lumbutim inserted, and the just on its own highly valued, both in a monetary sense and in a spiritual sense and collectorship sense, the Pratnak book by Makam. Yeah, just in themselves as amulets are amulets of great value and rarity. And so the locket filled with Muan San with the Code 3 and Code Salah stamps, but also actually we're looking at Pratnak book by Makam, Pratnak book by Makam, and the Pitta of Lumbutim, one of the various Pitta of Lumbutim in Nerloha. It's not Nerpong. I think, yes, it's metallic, right? So what I would say is for lesser known amulets that were only recently accepted nationally and generally by amulet pundits around the nation, for me, you would say, okay, it's certificated, but let's be cynical. Let's say, could this be, what would you call that, a forgery? Well, to make a forgery of something that is lesser known and lesser played with, because it has only been recently known, and before that was not, and this has been made a long time ago, to me, if I wanted to make a fake locket, first of all, the photograph isn't difficult. But to repeat the Muon San, yeah, a bit more difficult. In this case, not too difficult. But then I would have to make a block press and a minimum number to do that, because if not, it's not worth making the block press just to make pita amulets. And I would have to have artists and great forgers just to emulate a fake version of the real pita. And I would have to do the same with the Paen book by Makam as well, yeah, before making the locket. And so that would involve 3 different industrial investments, which would make the production and sale of a forged amulet not viable. It'd be too expensive to make a block press and print a load of these, make a block press and print a load of these, make the lockets, the sacred powders, the code stamps, also manufacture 2 different code stamps. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 metallic, expensive code stamps and amulet block presses you would have to invest in just to make a fake locket. Impossible, not impossible, just completely illogical. It'd be too expensive. You wouldn't even get your return on the investment. Therefore, to me, that doesn't even come into question, because a lot of people like to say, oh, things with lots of items in the back are suspicious. It's actually not, because the amount of investment needed to create block presses and manufacture each item in enough numbers, such as metal code stamps to hammer in, 2 different kinds, a block press for the pita, an artist to make it, an artisan to design it, to carve it, to draw it, then carve it. The same with this one. You've already spent enough money to make a real edition for a temple and sponsor a temple. It's not worth making a fake. It's not worth it. It's not financially viable. It really isn't. That locket face itself would just... I've made my own lockets and I know how much it costs to make a shell locket face. So it's just not financially viable. I'm sorry. So there you go. 2 very unusual and inimitable lockets from Lumbutim. This one oblong. I like, personally I like oval shapes, and I like this turtle shaped casing more than oblongs, but oblong is a more traditional picture. If you look at the picture of Lumbutim here, it's also oblong, and the oval shape is contained around with writing and so on. Whereas this is actually purist. But I actually prefer the style of this. But then again, on the back, if I'm directly focused on the guru, I would take this. If I was focused on the guru and want the guru to empower my amulets, I would say that by wearing this locket, I'm wearing 3 amulets in one, with a Chenoan bead to empower it further, yeah, which will have Lumbutim's spell inside it, yeah. And I would say, well, then I'm wearing a pita and an arcbrok with all the powers and qualities and aspects, magical aspects that belong to that, and the Muon San, and an image of the maker of Lumbu to remember him and connect and resonate between the spirit of Lumbu and the amulets he made. So I would call this a 3-in-1. I would call this a 3-in-1, and that if you know Guru Nutsati, remembrance and mindfulness of the Guru, and always do that when you pray to your amulets, you can use Kata Pratpita, Kata Pratnakbrok, and invoke the powers of these amulets, and the power of Lumbutim and his blessings, and the power of Pong Prai Kuman. Yeah? For Metta Mahaniyom Khil Kla Kong Grapan, Mahapoka Sap, Mahalap, Kakai, Siang Chok, even Siang Chok, lottery and gambling even, and good business and power of attraction, mercy charm, people look favorably upon you, and so on, yeah.
and safety from danger. Life-saving miracles is what the amulets of Luang Pu Tim are about, are known for, especially professional success. So there you go, two nice lockets from Luang Pu Tim, certificated by and signed by Ajahn Pisek and Ajahn Virat Gangate, Ajahn Pisek Si Sawat, and Nai Virat, Mr. Virat, both good friends of mine and honest. So now we're going to have a look at number 1434, still in the world of Luang Pu Tim for this video. We began with other masters, but I'm stuck on a basket of amulets of Luang Pu Tim. This is actually it's not as golden as in this picture, and it's not as brownish as we see right now. I raise the light to get the right tone, so you can see that's about the right tone of the amulet. So I have the light to the right, which is difficult for this camera. I'm going to tilt it and zoom in as far as I can and put some light on it and bring it as close as I can to the camera. You can see this is, I'm human just like others, so I have already managed to rent out, or like I like to say, sell a couple of Pratsivali amulets of Luang Pu Tim, but just like all other humans, you tend to keep the ones you find most beautiful to the last, but to the end. But that's not always the case with me. For example, my light blue Khun Paen, first prize winner amulet in Nơ Khao Niao Suk, the most beautiful Khun Paen in my opinion I had in my possession. It was mine. I encased it already, and there was a time when I was really in a, what we call that, a cash flow problem, and I really needed to make a quick sale, and I practiced the Buddha's teaching of letting go of material things, and I sold it. But I do miss it, so sometimes I don't save the best till last. But in this case I have been holding on to this one for quite a while. I let one go before this that was even rarer in Nerpong, Mahasolot, black, like a black colors, reddish powders with a black lacquer. Anyway, that went. But this one, you can see the Pong Prai Guman, the Saire Tong Kam golden flakes that have been pressed into the Muan San as they pushed the clay into the block press with the Pratsivali image. They would pour Naman Prajau Taksin oil inside and gold flakes, and when you pressed it in, the clay would absorb the oil and the gold flakes into the Muan San, which is different from the Luang Pu Tim amulets, which you see coated or painted with bronze or gold. Yeah. And here you can see the presence of Khao Niao Suk, blessed sticky rice, and I believe Grayasat, and the Saire Tong Kam gold flakes, and the crinkly look, which comes from various atmospheric changes and the type of Muan San, and the element of Khao Niao Suk, which gives it this rubbly appearance of the blessed sticky rice. And this is an extremely beautiful and clear cut Pratsivali. You can see all the details, his walking stick, yeah, the fan, here, yeah. The lines are so clear. Nachaliti, the kata, Huajai Prachimpali Sibali kata. A very beautiful Sibali amulet, accepted by all societies. Even the 2517 Tapajan accepts this amulet edition. So zoom out again. And this is, there are two versions of this amulet. The Prat Sian Leg,รูปเหมือนหลวงปู่ทิม yeah. You have the Sian To, the large head version, and the Sian Leg, which is much rarer, and called the small head version because his head is smaller. The large head it's a much bigger image, and it's slightly rougher. You find more of them. The Pim Sian Leg, which is this one, you find much less of them. And so you can see the golden and greeny toned from the Wan Tao Long and Pong, in this case Pong Prai Guman. You see the presence of Khao Niao Suk, sticky rice, in lesser quantity than the Sivali over here, but you see it present. But this has more a presence of Pong Prai Guman within it, yeah. A Prat Pong Prai Guman, รูปเหมือนเสียนเล็ก, very rare amulet. And once again, with the Yanga Bong Kwai on the rear face, you can see the Muan San and the Sai Re Tong Kam and the Pong Prai Guman and the Paen, Pong Putta Khun, the green effect on the edges here, yeah, of the Muan San rising up, and the Wan Tao Long and the Pong Prai Guman, and the crinkly effect, yeah, of the Grayasad and Khao Niao Suk, puffed and sticky rice, blessed, yeah, mixed with the sacred clay, which gives it this textured effect, yeah. Very beautiful amulet indeed. I'm not sure if it's the last one I have or not. I really don't know. I think maybe it's the last one. If not, it's the last of two. I definitely don't have three. I think this might be the last one. I don't know. I don't know. I spent years in Bangkai near to the temple of Wat Lahan, right? Buying up and collecting every amulet I could. So there you have the Prat Sian Leg, Prat Pong Prai Guman Pim Sian Leg, and the Prat Pong Sibali, Prat Pong Prai Guman Pim Sibali. Yeah, get that plaster out of the frame. And both very interesting for them Muan San. I'm using one of those Philips lights, so this is catching the golden color very easily. This is a darker because it has wan. It has herbal powders in it, yeah? Like earlier in another clip I just made earlier of a Khun Paen, that is Wat Rai Wari, not Wat Lahan Rai, meaning pre-2515, before they changed the name of the temple of Wat Lahan Rai. It used to be called Wat Rai Wari, yeah? Similar kind of herbal content. You can see is Ner Wan Tao Long, Ner Wan. Very, very powerful herbal concentrate powders with the Pong Prai Guman, which is what gives it this less golden texture, even though it has a lot of Sai Re Tong Kam gold flakes in there. The color of the wan, yeah, between the brown of the wan and the green of the Pong Prai Guman residues, mildews, gives it a darker look. Whereas this is the Pong Kao, white powders, Pong Prai Guman powders, which will show green tints and gold leaf, yeah. So that's why they have two different tones, yeah. Pat Sivali, Pat Pong Prai Guman Pim Sivali, and Pat Pong Prai Guman รูปเหมือนหลวงปู่ทิมพิมพ์เสียนเล็ก rare amulet. The Sian Leg is also a little bit thinner than the Sian To, yeah. Both ones more confirmed by me, and I can sign that if you like, but also confirmed by Ajahn Pisek Si Sawad and Ajahn Virat Kanged, both of whom I know and trust. Learned a lot from, but I learned a lot from the locals of Bangkai and the local pundits of Bangkai and the local amulet traders of Bangkai and the temple of Wat Lahan Rai and the amulet section of Wat Lahan Rai and the head of the amulet section of Wat Lahan Rai, and the papers of releases of editions of amulets signed with permission from Luang Pu Tim of Wat Lahan Rai. So with all this information and studying the amulets with the people of Bang Khai and the devotees of Wat Lahan Rai living years in that area, I believe that I don't have to place my faith in the theories of Bangkokian experts who have probably never spent more than a few hours on 3 or 4 or 5 visits to Wat Lahan Rai, whereas I've spent years hanging around every day at least a few hours with amulet people and devotees of Luang Pu Tim, talking, listening, learning, exchanging ideas, looking, studying. You make your own knowledge. You don't go and listen to somebody in Bangkok who's like 150 kilometers away. You go right to around the temple and speak with the old people who were alive when these amulets were released and who are hanging one around their necks, and ask them about the truth. Yeah. So Prat Sivali and Prat Sian Leg, Pat Pung Prai Kuman Pim Sivali, Let Pim Sian Leg, Luang Pu Tim, Wat Lahan Rai. Well, I think I just need a little rest after that, and I'll continue because it's quite tiring. I'm just going to have a look at this takrut from Luang Pu Nu of Wat Tung Lam, which is a very interesting takrut. So I'm just going to go into cartoon land for a moment and have a little rest, and I'll continue this VIP out of store sales video after my little rest. Thank you. And so now I think I'll finish off this video with first saying that one I'm going to present in the shop soon and write about, which I haven't documented yet. This Ajahn is Luang Pu Nu of Wat Tung Lam, which will be an interesting read, I hope, with his biography, which is why it's taking so long. After which amulets from this master will begin to appear. Once I have introduced him, his works, his deeds, his trajectory, and his amulets, and the powers of his amulets. Yeah. So I have to describe his pantheon slowly, one by one, but first his biography. And as soon as I've finished that, then this will appear in the shop. It's a takrut tone, yeah. Tak chuak with cord, and long rak with herbal lacquer, bit tong with gold leaf. From Prat Ajahn Nu of Wat Tung Lam. So, just to show you that one. Now, back to finish with the same topic, Luang Pu Tim. Two more unusual, well, one unusual one and one classic. This, most people would say Luk Om, and it was in the category of Luk Ong, and of Luk Om. But actually, I would call it, some people would say Luk Sakot. I would call it Tao Ruan, because it's actually shaped like a turtle. And the 5 Dhyani Buddha Yantra, the Yang Gabong Kwai of Luang Pu Tim, increases that effect. So, and Nangwak in the back. Yeah. So, this is pure Muan San with some code 3 stamp. And I believe the Metnga or Yod Nam, depending what you want to call it, I'm not sure. But here, 2 code 3 stamps, Nangwak, and an inscription on this. So like Lugom, yeah, you can wear that on a cord belt around your waist or around your neck if you want, but below any Buddha images. Yeah. agreed by me and also by Ajahn Pisek and Ajahn Virat Gangate, who is the president of making the shows and the competitions, and Ajahn Pisek is the president of the society. So now we look at a third prize winning, rarer than Pim Yai always, a Pim Leg. This one is Khun Paen Prai Guman Pim Leg, Wat Rai Wari in Nursi Kiao, meaning in green. So it's actually white powders, but has Wan Tao Long, herbal tincture, and of course the Pong Prai Guman, which always has the greenish mildew, almost always. That's about as close as I can get. I might make an individual video about this with my macro lens. And it's Wat Rai Wari, which is before they changed the name of the temple to Wat Lahan Rai. Yeah? Which means pre-2515, because in 2515 they changed the name to Wat Lahan Rai, which will have been a big temple celebration and a massive edition released, including the Khun Paen 15. These amulets you find in the Khun Paen 17 collection from the Bangkokians. And it says Wat Rai Wari on the back here, which means it's impossible that it could have been made in 2517, because it would say Wat Lahan Rai on the back. Because a block press made with the name of the temple before it was changed in 2515 must have been made before 2515. And then we'll have asked to change the name of the temple 1 or 2 years before, let's say 2513, halfway through, and started making block presses saying Wat Lahan Rai on. But there is no Pim Lek that says Wat Lahan Rai on it that was made by Luang Pu Tim. Only after his passing can you find Pim Lek with the words Wat Lahan Rai on it, which means 2515 edition release will have used the block press from the previous eras when the temple was still called Wat Rai Wari, which is why the back of the Pim Lek does not say Wat Lahan Rai, it says Wat Rai Wari. So this is a pre-2515 or using the block press of pre-2515 to press in 2515, yeah, edition. And if the 2517 people got hold of it, which I doubt because I believe they broke the block press after that when they changed the name, used it to press the 2515 the last time, and I believe they will have probably broken the block press. And I will have to ask at the temple about that because I forgot to ask that question, which is a very good question. Anyway, the Pim Lek is very rare. This one is a third prize winner. You can see third prize, and a beautiful example, a beautiful exhibit indeed. Beautiful exhibit of the Khun Paen Pim Lek Wat Rai Wari, yeah. And I think since I showed in a previous video, because if you're watching this as an individual video, you must know that it's actually one of many clips compiling a larger video in which I previously to this clip showed a Prat Pong Prai Goman Rup Luang Pu Tim Rup Mern Pim Sien Lek small head version of this, which are usually in Pong Prai Goman with gold flakes or gold painted. And this is the big head version, the Pim Sien To, because I spoke about the both versions. But this is very, very unusual. Number 0228, you can quote if interested to inquire. Please don't use my line ID to inquire about Sakyant, or if I can do a spell to make somebody's husband and wife break up so you can have them. Please leave me alone with that. This line ID I give is for VIP inquiries who want out of store sales at VIP prices, or people interested in the amulet. If you're a first-time customer, you can contact to ask about the amulets in this video, but not anything else, please, or an amulet of mine you are interested in. But please don't abuse my line ID for other questions. You will have to contact me other ways for that. And I don't usually have much time, but you can give me suggestions in comments on YouTube for what kind of content you want me to make and questions you want me to answer, and I might publish them. So here we are, the Prat Pim Sian To, Ner Pong Prai Guman, ผสมว่านเทาหลง with ว่านเทาหลง, the green forest vine herb tincture, yeah, and ข้าวเหนียวสุก in this one, which gives it เนื้อแกร่ง, a rubbly fossilized kind of effect, which increases the depth and contrast of the relief, meaning the details, the depth of his forehead lines, yeah, and the lotus petals and the letters and the lines of the arch, yeah. Can I zoom in? Yeah, a little bit. And zoom in a little bit. And this is the only green version I've ever either seen or got my hands on. And you can see it has Saire Tongkam gold flakes impressed into it by pouring Naman Pajau Taksin oil and gold flakes into the block press and then pushing the wet clay in and letting it absorb it. And you can see the khao niao soaked sticky rice, especially on his Chivara robe chest here. Yeah, you can see it protruding. Very beautiful and rare exhibit indeed in this Wan Tao Long green color tone. Only one I've ever been able to obtain or see and admire. Once again, I confirm, so does Ajahn Mirat and Ajahn Pisek, yeah, and Ajahn Mirat also signed their name to this. And I do too. Khao niao soup. So very nice, Pim Sian To, only one. Never again, I don't think I shall have one in this particular, an exhibit like this. I don't think so. Very clear-cut version indeed as well. And highly evident, powerful Pong Prai Guman. In my opinion, powerful. I never used to say that. I would say what Thai Buddhists believe is powerful, because I didn't want to put, like many traders will say, oh, this is really powerful, you will win the lottery. And I don't say those things. I admire the art and the sacredness and the maker. And but that doesn't mean I don't believe that Pong Prai Kuman of Luang Putin is powerful. I believe Luang Putin has brought me lots of blessings, which is why I have so many amulets of his, and because I'm well studied in his pantheon. So I'm very confident in what I choose for myself and my customers. I'm very confident, and my school of thought with the Muan San and school of thought with dating and events and piecing 2 and 2 together to make 4, not 5 or 3, yeah, and using logic and reason, and my years around the temple of Wat Lahan Rai in Chonburi and in Bangkai and in Rayong have taught me to have utter confidence in what I'm doing with the amulets of Luang Putin. So, very beautiful, Pim Sian To, Luang Putin, Pat Pong Prai Guman, in Ner Pong Prai Guman, ผสมว่านเทาหลงและข้าวเหนียวสุก sticky rice, ว่านเทาหลง forest vine tincture, Pong Prai Guman, beautiful. And that's me, Ajahn Spencer, for this particular out-of-store Thai amulet sales VIP update. Very tired, signing off.